All right. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Douglas. Today, we're going to talk about how you can use AI for brands and businesses, and AI copywriting and content marketing is going to be some of our focus today. So, what we're going to cover in this hour, we've already discussed some intros and some questions. I'm going to say a little bit who I am for those of you who don't know me. I'll keep it brief for those that do. I'm going to give you some news and some fun stuff to get started with, and talk about custom GPTs in particular. There's going to be a focus on that today. Huge announcement if you don't know from ChatGPT and what that is. I'll be getting into an exploration of how you can use brand bots, which is a type of custom GPT for your business. And we're going to then use it to experiment with some fleshing out website copy and generating copy ideas. And we'll have questions and answers at the end. So I'm not great at monitoring the chat. So because I don't have an assistant here and I can't do it all. So just save your questions for afterwards, and or you put them in the chat, but some other people might be able to answer them too. So feel free to help me out if you have answers to people's questions. Otherwise, we'll get to it at the end. All right. So as a brief summary of my background, I know some of you from my event series that I launched from 2008 to 2016 or 15 or so. We've done a few after COVID as well, but largely during COVID, I focused on my old career, which is web design, digital marketing, brand building with this digital agency that I launched called Rogue Media. Just when I was feeling like, wow, things need a little bit of a shift up, generative AI came. I've written two books. One was The Motorcycle and the Molecule under my pseudonym Dougie Lux, and the other also under Dougie Lux. He's the only Dougie Lux. One of the reasons I put that out is because Douglas Campbell is so many Douglas Campbells. Thank you, parents, for giving me a very generic name. No one can find me. But also, it's kind of my mischievous alter ego that does this writing. And so the second book, Free to Roam, was a digital nomad guide for remote workers, and I wrote it in collaboration with AI. I'll tell you more about it in a sec. And then if you don't know, back in the day, I used to love to do charity stunts in tuxedos. And this one was, for example, we traveled across the world for 6 months raising money for charity, which was really, really fun. And we were even on CNN and in Ripley's Believe It or Not. We had a two-page spread of 2008. So that was just a fun little thing I thought I'd throw in there. All right, so bringing us into the world of AI, my first experience with ChatGPT, well, like a lot of you, was just beginning to play with it. But then I stumbled upon this course for people how to write a book with AI, and I was like, just totally, my mind was blown. The ability for me to create an outline in ChatGPT while really refining my target audience and their needs and my skills, what I have to offer, creating this outline and then watching and then infusing it with personal stories and examples of all my travels, where I was a digital nomad back in 2002 before it was even a term. And so this has tons of stories in it, as well as tips for digital nomads. But really what I was going to say about this was the AI creative potential was what really sold me on this is an amazing new tool for us to learn. Within 30 days, it was on Amazon. It got on a bestseller list on the travel tips category, and I cloned my voice using AI and it narrated the book. So it was a pretty cool experience. All right, so now we're going to dive in. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to start sharing this screen. Okay, great. All right, so let's start with a little bit of news. First of all, just so everyone is not concerned, Google has put out a robot constitution that is based off of Isaac Asimov's The Laws of Robotics. And so what we're seeing now this year, robotics has come a long way in the past years, but now the intersection of robotics and AI is going to have a profound expediting effect on the usefulness and integration of these robots into our lives, because now these robots who were very agile before and increasingly so are able to train themselves a lot better. They can even run through simulations in their mind so many times before they even make a move, much like a Japanese calligrapher or something. A lot of thought goes in, and then the stroke is very quick. So that's from Google. Hopefully that gets us off to a good start. We'll see. All right, next, an example of what bad prompt engineering is. So now if you can imagine, you can work with prompts in obviously ChatGPT just in the box. You can work with them also using APIs. For example, a lot of marketers or a lot of product e-commerce are running vast amounts of products through ChatGPT to create titles and to create descriptions automatically, and then they can just export that into their store. Well, guess what? If AI has an error or something, it's really good to double check your spreadsheet and all the responses, because otherwise now, if you look for this, if you search for this on the Amazon, you can actually find a lot of products that have a title that's an error or a description that's an error. So an example of bad prompting. Okay, so this is really interesting, and this has a personal impact on me. My stepdad passed away, and Alzheimer's was a big part of that. And so there's an amazing opportunity for AI to help medically in really wonderful ways. And this technology, through a variety of things that it monitors, can predict the likeliness of Alzheimer's, which, if you know about it, if it's caught early, it can really have, you can really do some things early on that they're learning more about how to do as a predictive measure to minimize the or maximize the onset, meaning that it takes longer for the onset to occur. So I think that's a really beautiful and wonderful example of how AI is being used in a benevolent way. And if you haven't seen my previous podcast, or I do have a podcast I'll tell you about in a little bit. If you haven't seen my previous webinars, there's been other things that are amazing, such as AI finding new antibiotics that are not that are effective against things like MRSA, which is a huge killer, especially in hospitals and things like that. And it's even figured out how to help decipher the language of whales. So AI is being used in so many amazing ways. Of course, there's going to be some shadowy bits, but like any new technology, that's going to always come with bad actors and people who misuse it. But I happen to be a real optimist for the potential that this new technology is going to afford. Okay, so this one is just a fun example. And so a lot of things, people are trading images and videos. Unless you're like really in that world, entertainment, marketing, you're maybe just looking at it like eye candy. But my friend works in, oops, oh my God. My friend works in the metaverse, and this is an amazing opportunity to literally just from recording a person dancing and applying it to a model or even an image. You can, if you're not talking, if you could mute, that would be great. I hear some noise background noise. That is really neat. And so the ability to drop these characters like right into a metaverse. So imagine making games, making your world. It's really, really fun. And you can imagine kids, if they're going to be on the screen, at least if they can be doing things that are, creative, then that is a wonderful thing. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can see I'm going to mute Freddie. I'm going to mute Alex. And if you could just keep yourselves muted. Actually, for some reason, I can't mute Alex. So if you could just, if you're not talking, stay muted. Thank you. Okay, great. And now I'm going to go back to that. Share the screen. Okay, here we go. So that's that. Imagine your kids who are on the screen already a lot. Maybe if they're at least doing more creative things, that would be beneficial for them and their wellness, building their own games rather than just playing them. All right, final piece of news. This is really fascinating and has some profound implications for cold case files, but researchers are discovering that not every fingerprint is unique to its owner. It can actually influence what other fingerprints on the same hand or even other hand might look like, meaning the potential, if one print was captured, but it wasn't on record, some of these other prints you could go back and maybe start to have some more suspects, which is pretty interesting. I mean, that's unexpected. Much like the people entering their data into 23andMe and other genetic tests, how that has opened up new old files because they've been able to track people whose genetics were on the scene through their genetic connection to relatives who took the test. All right, so all that said, let's jump into ChatGPT. So a lot of you are familiar with this. You may be using the free version. Everything that I'm going to be showing today doesn't require the paid version, but it really helps because actually any custom GPT to get access to or to create, which we're going to be focusing on that, I'll give you a little insight into that. You need the paid version, $20 a month, monthly. You can totally test it out. Absolutely worth the $20 because of a few of the things I'm going to show you. So custom GPTs, what exactly are they? So on this left-hand side, you'll see that I have some pretty interesting things that I've been building. Well, ChatGPT just announced 2 months ago, they announced custom GPTs. And this is the ability for people to add custom instructions as well as knowledge files and even more complicated actions that can interface with other websites. They can create their own really easily. So I'm going to show you a few examples of some more complex things and then a few that I've built that are of a variety of levels. So right off the bat here, you can see that there's going to be some really amazing ones that are professionally made, like Canva. You can straight from the interface of chat start to work on some Canva posts and then open it up in Canva, which is a huge, amazing thing. The more you can do in this chat box, it's becoming multimodal. It's becoming able to do a lot of things. And that's like an example of uh, connecting to the API of Canva and then opening it up in there. There's all sorts of popular ones. There are ones that ChatGPT created, ones just for imagery, ones particularly for writing, productivity, and so on. So a lot of fun things that you can research there. And just as a few examples of some popular ones, and I'll send this out in a follow-up email because these were a few that I heard about this week that are quite interesting. So this is a YouTube video summarizing tool that I think I believe can bulletize things as well as even putting timestamps to parts of the video. Really fascinating if you don't have time to read the whole thing. So that's one that I want to check out, but I thought I would share here. Another one that's a little bit more complicated, and we tried for our podcast, which I'll open up. I'll show you our podcast just for fun. It's called The Intelligence, as in IntelliGentleman, so the intelligenceai.com. But me and my best buddy Helix, we have this podcast, and we've just released our first two pre-launch episodes. So check it out. I'll send the link to that also, and then we can, you'll be updated for future ones. We're going to start having guests in February. But so this is one we highlighted on there, and you can actually create videos right in ChatGPT. It'll ask you some questions. It'll, whether it's explainers, it even then adds stock imagery and a narration. It opens then up in this app in Video AI, and you can begin to edit it. The free version, I think, has watermarks, but for not very much, you can actually go in there and edit scene by scene the stock video that it put in there. So it's very granular. It doesn't just give you something and that's it. So check that out. I'll send the link to that too. Like I said, Canva, you can do things in here. I'm not going to do it now because we have a lot of things to get through, but I'll also share this and you can start playing around in creating Canva designs in ChatGPT before you even get in there. If you know Canva, I don't know if that's really such a big, benefit. Canva, it's probably going to be a lot more powerful, but at least fun. Because this is a business one, I thought this was a cool thing to talk about. Not only does this help you set the scene for what you need to negotiate, whether it's a car dealership or whether it's a, raise from your employer, but it also will role play. Once you've defined it, it'll also let you go back and forth, whether that's copying, pasting emails, or just having a conversation to prep you for, which I think is pretty fascinating. All right, just a fun one before we get into work stuff, but this can create you can connect your various music things. I don't even know what Deezer is, but apparently you can connect that too. And Playlist AI, you can describe what kind of playlist you want, and it will create one for you. Is it going to be perfect? I don't know. I haven't really tried it yet, but these are all ones that I pulled up in the last couple of days that I have want to experiment with. Okay, awesome. So we've done this. And so now we're going to hop into a little bit more. So first, before I talk about my brand bot, I want to show you just a couple of my GPTs that I've created and how easy it is. So I'm going to show you, why not? I got one that's a feel-good one. I often show the Optimism bot, and it allows you to tell me your problems, be they large or small. Let's explore what's currently working around the world and how our shining future could unfold. And so to create that, I literally just said, with instructions, this is what it looks like. You can, when you create your own GPT, it starts like its own little chat. It'll help you build it. It'll even help you. Please mute yourself. I hear you in the background, somebody. All right, thank you. I'm going to share this again. All right, great. So, all right, so you can create it, start creating it right from chat. It makes the icon. It makes these little conversation starters. And then if you want to get a little more granular, you go over to the configure page and you can tell it what to do. So in this case, I'm saying you're an optimist. You should be a wise old mentor. Give people examples of psychology, best practices if they're feeling upset about something. If it's real world stuff, you can actually give examples of where there's solutions. For example, the homelessness in California, where are there places that are dealing with their homelessness well? And then you can even explore those solutions and connect with organizations. So I think that was just a really fun first one for me to test. Another one is for my, like you've heard, my author self. There's a clone of my author. And so what's cool about this is it sits right here. Once you've built it, it sits right here on your side panel. You click on new chat to any of these, it opens up immediately a new chat already trained, which is really a time saver if you're doing things, especially with a lot of training. So in this case with Dougie Lux, the way I did this was some instructions that were like, you're Dougie Lux, the author. You're going to find the tone from his writing that I provide. You're going to be able to talk about the chapters and give quotes and talk about what's in the book, respond in the first person, respond in his tone, and ask questions of things they might want to know more about, that kind of stuff. Don't make up facts and whatnot. And then you'll see down here as a little bit example of a bit more complex is some knowledge files that I can add. In this case, my 2 manuscripts of my 2 books. And then here, and we're not going to get into this today, but this is where it gets more complicated with actions. And that's how things like Canva work, is that they create these actions that, you actually need to know some coding. There are some ways to do it more simply, but it's a little bit more advanced to get into today. Great. So now that you've got the basis of what a custom GPT is, it's basically an app that you create that sits on top of ChatGPT that uses almost ChatGPT as the operating system, and you equip this app with custom instructions, knowledge, and maybe even actions. Okay, so that's a good introduction into what I've created that is very particular for my business, and that is the Project Fresh brand bot. And so what this is all about is this knows my entire brand. And so I took this through my typical branding exercise that I run clients through, and I categorized it down into all the particular things: target audience, their problems and struggles, the solutions and services that you offer, the tone of your brand, even the colors of your brand, all of your offerings fleshed out, custom business prompts that you can leverage for your particular business, as well as just other things about you, things you might find on your website about you or your company, your team, your FAQs, all that kind of stuff can be integrated into the brand bot. So it's pretty much ready to go. And so why is that cool? Well, let me tell you. I'm going to pull up, first of all, just to show you kind of what is working. I can say, first of all, why don't we start with what kind of tasks can you help me with? And sometimes this takes a little bit of time if it's kind of like researching the knowledge. But yeah, so I'm going to say, let's explore number 1. Let's go with number 1. So I have categories of prompts and also tasks that this particular brand bot can help me with. So market research and analysis, if you were on last time, you know what that looked like. Looking at offerings, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, as well as getting into content and any of these things. And if you drill down into this, it can give you best prompts for these particular tasks. But we're not going to get too much into that today because I know what we're going to cover. What instead I'm going to do is now say, let's see, just so you know, what's the tone of my brand, okay? So just so you see that now it's going to research, and sometimes, like I say, it takes a little bit to index this stuff, but it knows my tone already. So whenever I'm writing, it's going to speak in this approachable manner. I can also say, what's my target audience? All right. So you can, if you've used ChatGPT, you can pre-train it on a bunch of stuff and then kind of hope that it remembers. The point about this is exciting, is all this is already in there. So as soon as it's in there, I can begin exploring it, which is really fun. So, for example, I can say, all right, okay, and here's another thing that's cool. What are my current offerings? And again, it knows this. So I can actually do things like look for gap analysis, and it will look at my skills as well as my current offerings and even create, a new offering. And so I think it would be fun to use that as an example. We're going to create an offering kind of quickly, and then we're going to use that for some content creation. So these are all the things I currently offer. Consulting calls and reports, always happy to talk about these things one-on-one basis. Thinker to Thought Leader program that really gives people like a platform to share their ideas. AI for entrepreneurs and course leader and thought leaders. This allows people to build a really robust content marketing plan. Coaches and course instructors. I have a course that helps them pre-validate ideas before they've done all their work. Content creators course, again, that's where I teach people how to write books because I've got my one that I've done successfully. And AI for brands and businesses course. I'll give you a touch on all these a little bit later, but and then custom AI tools that I also build, which are really fun. But I can say, okay, considering my skills, which it knows about me because it's all trained on that, what offerings might I be able to provide for my target audience that I'm not yet, that I'm not yet. All right. And so now what it's going to do is go and compare the skills as well as my offerings, and it's going to come up with some new ideas that I don't currently offer. So, and this is an opportunity for me to look at these and be like, wow, this is really fascinating. Integration consulting, personalized AI training workshops, business audits. Some of these might be more relevant for me. AI social media, tech and AI webinars for beginners. It's almost like what I'm doing now. So that might be a fun one to take. And I can say, okay, let's flesh out number 8. So now what it's going to do is put together a first draft of what I could offer. And so it's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to be able to at least work from something. I can copy this into a Google Doc. I can refine it. I can share it with a decision maker in my organization, things like that. And then I can obviously really look at this and be like, okay, is this going to be, the right thing? Is this, does this fit with my skills, et cetera? So look, it's created an actual 6-module course. I don't know whether these are it's a videos or whatever, but I could get more granular with that. So format, interactive webinars with Q&A. So this would, I guess, be 6 Q&A webinars, which is pretty neat. And so it's a 6-week program. Look at it, it did all that for me. Target audience, great. It's got my target audience in there. Promotional strategy, awesome. Post-course engagement. So it's got all these sorts of cool ideas. Well, let's just for content purposes say that's perfect. We're going to get into some more things. I can say, great. Give me a first draft. I'll just say create a sales page for this offering. Be sure to include, well, like, you know what? I could even just say, let's just see what happens if I say create a sales page for this offering. It should know what a good sales page is, and then which includes, your target audience and their problem, and etc. Right? And then the solution that you offer. So in this, it has, okay, so it says it's tailored specifically for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners. So good, it got that. Why would you do this? So this is solving their problems. What you'll learn, course details. And so I could also get more granular here, and I could say something like, help me understand better understand my target audiences, the target audience for this course, understand the raw emotional concerns my target audience has that this course will help solve. Okay, and so here's an example of it's given us some nice things to start with. Look, it's even got who it's for and the investment, the registration things, some testimonials you'll have to gather. You can get custom G or you can get ChatGPT to make them up. I don't necessarily recommend that. And then a few other things. Well, and it even's given us an idea for a banner image, which is really cool that we can literally create in here. So I can copy that. That may be a fun one to do right now. But look at this. So this is going to help me from a marketing standpoint, really more deeply understand my target audience. And if I wanted to, I could now take that and it's great, concerns about cost and ROI, all this kind of thing, right? And I could say now, if I wanted to create an FAQ section, because that wasn't in that sales page, that addresses these and any other concerns concerns the target audience might have. I don't know if you guys have done it before, but frequently asked questions are always a big pain to do. So it's really nice that this can do a great first draft. And it's reframed things into those questions, which is nice, right? So I'm new to AI, feeling overwhelmed. How do I know if investing in this is going to be worth it for my small business? What if I don't have a technical background? Will AI make my current business obsolete? So some of these, you might not include, and others might be really good to include on there. You could put them in the FAQs. If they're really valuable, you might want to actually move them up to a higher position, not right in the FAQ list. Okay, so now for fun, I'm gonna get my next prompt ready. I'm gonna do an image for this. So say we really like our sales page. We'd obviously do a lot more work on it, but make a 16:9 hero banner image for this course, incorporating brand colors, which mine are purples and beiges, and I put that into the brand bot. possibly featuring an AI themed design. I'm going to say with you know with a collage of business and technology visuals. So this is going to be this is a relatively simple image prompt. You can get a lot more elaborate on this. This isn't a course, or this isn't a workshop on doing images, but at least I wanted to show you what's possible. DALL-E is not as good as some of the other ones like Midjourney. It's the industry standard for the best image creation. But the reality is, if you use DALL-E in a really good way, it's included in your $20 a month subscription. You don't have to pay any additionals, and you can actually get a lot better than this prompt and really kind of push it in some fun ways. Again, which we're not going to do here just because it takes some time, and we want to get into some other things. Okay, so this is really cool. Now, another thing I can talk about is I could, if I wanted to, go now and say, sometimes this works. I'm going to say, find a recent. Okay, and let's just see how that did. That's not bad. Like, we could crop that and that could totally be a banner. It's a little busy. I might want to say, use terms like illustrative or simple or photorealistic and whatever. And so, but anyways, just to show you, that's pretty cool. All right, I want to show you another advanced thing in here. I'm going to say, find a recent news article about the importance of small businesses learning to implement AI into their workflows. All right, so check this out, everybody. It's now going to go and connect with Bing, which is Microsoft's search engine. Again, this is accessible in the paid plan. And it's going to search recent news article about importance of small businesses implementing AI into their workflow. So it takes usually a second or so. But what this is doing is it's going off to Bing's news sources, and it's going to hopefully get a few examples. And let's see. So this one's from All Businesses. The article discusses nearly half of small businesses started using AI tools in the past year. Very cool. It emphasizes that while all AI tools are valid, so, and here's the link. Okay, so sometimes it gives you, or if you say recent articles, it would give you actually maybe a selection. For time's sake, we're just going to use this one. I could have said 5 recent articles. It doesn't always get numbers right, but if you wanted a few to look at. All right, so check this out. Now I could say, write a LinkedIn post that gives a short summary and positive opinion. I don't know, I'm just going to make this up. Positive opinion on this article while acknowledging, something like a lot of businesses still need help in this area, and highlight my new sales page offering, my new offering. Okay, so it usually autocorrects, so I'm not always the best typer, so it will know what I'm saying here unless you really get it wrong. Okay, so now what it's going to do is go back into the conversation and look at that offering that we've developed, and it's going to hopefully sort of tactfully weave it into an opinion article on this article from All Businesses. So we'll give it a sec. Once in a while, you have to refresh if it hangs. But here's a LinkedIn post tailored to your needs. So here we go. We got a little title, and this is great. This could be used for a blog. This could be used for your newsletter, and that sort of thing. So we're just going to let it do its thing. So it's going to go off and read that article. It's also now going to write this in my tone, which again, if I was just using vanilla GPT, I could say write it in the tone of a seasoned mentor or whatever. But you'll see how quickly I'm moving through this because it already knows all this stuff. My brand bot's really, really cool. Okay, so we're getting a cool post. I want to do a couple of other things related to the offering. I wanted to just show you how neat it is that it's integrated with Bing, because you can do so much now right from the chat. Okay, it's given an opinion piece on this. However, it's clear that and it's also said, while it's a lot of great opportunities, many businesses are still navigating. This is where I step in with my new offering, AI Essentials for Business, Navigating the Future. I aim to bridge this gap. So this article will link to the sales page. And so what other things might I want on the sales page? Well, they might get to the sales page and maybe not be ready to buy, but maybe they're ready for a cool little thing called a lead magnet. So if any of you have ever been on a website, I'll be surprised if any of you haven't been on a website and entered your email to get something. Oh, and by the way, look how cool that is. It even suggests a few hashtags. So now I want to say, create a few ideas for lead magnets that I could use for this offering. For my new offering, I just want to be sure that it knows. And so this is now going to come up with a few ideas that I could implement to get people to give me their email because they're interested in the course. They're maybe not ready to buy, but I want to offer them something of value that gets them excited in taking the course or signing up for the offering, right? So I could do a assessment tool. I could create an ebook. For example, using my nonfiction course is such a great way to create free ebooks. It's really quick. And especially like if you're not trying to make it like a passion project, you can really knock out some useful stuff. A checklist, like maybe something you could design in Canva. You could even just research, like you could ask it, what top things would I have on an AI implementation checklist? I want to flesh that out. And then make a Canva thing out of it. I mean, maybe you could even do that right. You'd have to go into the Canva GPT, but I'd probably just go right into Canva because I'm familiar with it. Webinar series on AI basics. So how cool is that? That's kind of what I'm doing right here. And AI tool demos. So let's see if I wanted to, maybe I'll just go like this for fun. Why don't I just take number 3? I said, let's flesh out what I could include in number 3. Great. So now hopefully it's going to go look at that and be like, all right, what would be useful for this offering as a little intro for my target audience? And so look, this checklist can be designed as a practical and user-friendly guide for small businesses to begin their AI journey. Here's what it could include. All right, so let's see. Assess your AI readiness. All right, so it's going to come up with some things. This may be more for small businesses. It may be more for enterprise level. Ultimately, it's maybe a little bit complicated for people just starting out. So I could actually come up with like something. My top 3 tools could be example. I have a few really cool tools for businesses that I could share as a PDF, but you get the idea. You could also say something like this: give me the outline for a 30-minute webinar that offers value for the target audience and promotes the new offering while also promoting the new offering. Okay, so now this is maybe a little bit more right off the bat. If you like doing webinars, maybe you want to do this. So unlocking business potential with AI, 30-minute guide to getting started, who it's for, the objective of it. And then it gives me an actual outline for how I could craft my webinar, which is great, especially if you're not used to doing webinars or don't know really the order to do it in. Here's this great offering. So, and then I could introduce my own particular things for it. Great. So what I want to talk about here next is you could also, create other things really easily. For example, all right, great. This is a good one. So I haven't even done this, but I should do this. For this particular webinar, once you signed up, all you're going to pretty much get is my follow-up email with these links and all whatnot. And then, you're on my list, but that was great. I offer a piece of value and you gave me your information. And then in the future, if I have something that's valuable for you, I can shoot you a message or whatnot. But this is another advanced thing for a sales page. If anyone doesn't know what a drip campaign is, it's when you enter your email, you get something, maybe the thing they're going to give you right immediately. And then maybe every week, whatever it is, you have some follow-up. So I could say something like, create a 3 email drip campaign for this new offering. Okay. And look, that's all I'm going to say. I could be more descriptive with it, but it's going to do its best knowing what a good drip campaign would be, knowing my voice, knowing what the new offering is, and knowing kind of how to structure things. So are you ready to unlock the potential? Introducing the AI so this would maybe go a week later in this course, you'll learn something. And let's take a closer look at what this offers. So maybe this would be the next week. It would give a few more things. And then this third one, hey, here's like the last one, enroll now and get some benefits, right? So that's something. And you might want to take it and tweak it, move them around, whatever it is. You might want to put the discount at the beginning, or like a series of discounts. So if they do in the first week, they get 50% off. Next week is 20% off, and the last week is 10% off. Whatever, you can come up with ideas for how you would use that. Great. So we've got now the outline, we've done the sales page, we've done a variety of things for the post for LinkedIn that could also be used for newsletters or blogs. We've done a 3 email drip campaign. We could also say, let's do, like, how about this? Let's do or create a Twitter thread sharing the value from this course and promoting sign up. All right, if you haven't created a Twitter thread before, it's a big pain in the butt, but it's not just one Twitter message. It's one message that's a series of short messages, and they're kind of a pain to create. And so it's like if you have a cool article that you want to share as a thread, if you have, in our case, this sales page offering, well, you can right here have a first draft of your catchy, tweets. These could also be individual tweets, but in this case, that's a thread, right? And so people can use that in a way. You could get this a lot, more refined, but at least this is a cool first start, right? So I think that that's really neat. A couple of other things I want to show you, and I want to leave some time for me to finish up and then answer any questions. Let me just see if there's anything that I haven't talked about here. There's a couple of things that I could still throw in. Okay, so I could also, here's another thing that I've uploaded to my brand bot. And everyone uses different social platforms, but some are more enjoyable for other people, for some people than others, right? And so typically we end up, unless we have a full-on marketing team that's doing all the channels and engaging in all the channels, especially if we're like a solo entrepreneur or a small company, we might just realize that LinkedIn, especially when we're talking about business, is ultimately the professional thing. And if you ever want to talk about like LinkedIn strategy or even like the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is a paid level of LinkedIn that's super great for business development, we can always book some time. But it's basically the platform that I use the most. And even if my things don't get that many likes or, my follow, whatever, like it's bringing in work. Like I don't judge my posts based off of like how many likes they get. I judge my efforts on social media if it's bringing in work, And so actually I did a big push when I was learning a lot of this AI stuff over, December and early January. Well, really actually November and early December, and then into the holidays a little bit. By the holidays, actually, I had lined up a whole bunch of January work by leveraging social media, in particular LinkedIn. So that's really, really cool to know. Okay, so now what my point was about bringing all that up is, in this case, I could say, right, like we did before, LinkedIn post, but I can also program it in because I do use other social media tools as well. I can program into the brand bot my own posting schedule. So for every day, what I do, it knows that. So I could say the theme of this week is my this new course. I want to say or let's say create a week's worth of content for me, promoting this offering. All right, so check it out. It knows what the offering is, and now it's going to go in and look at what my custom posting schedule is. And what it's going to know is I have my LinkedIn already, and so it's going to do some of that. Tuesday, it's going to be an Instagram post and a story. Wednesday, maybe Twitter. Thursday, Facebook, and I could flesh that out, right? So I could actually go back in and say, I want to actually do, 3 more LinkedIn posts or whatever. I could copy this over to a Google Doc. I could begin to flesh it out. So I could say also post a series of tweets throughout the day, share an eye-catching infographic. I could say come up with 3 more LinkedIn posts. I could copy that into an app like Buffer. I also, help clients schedule all this stuff using apps like Buffer or whatever one that you use. But basically, if you spend some time on Monday or even on Sunday, if you work a little bit on the weekends, lining up your week's worth of content, you just sit back and then it's automating. And then all you really need to do or should be doing is doing engagement work. And that is going off and making sure people have commented on it, you comment back, going on to maybe your top accounts that you like to follow, making sure to engage in particular with people who are engaging with your favorite people. It's unlikely that your favorite people, unless you're really lucky, are going to promote your posts. But a lot of the people that are commenting on the posts of a famous person or of a big influencer in your arena, that's where a lot of the engagement happens. So looking at it's kind of a pain, but if a lot of at least your posting is taken care of, then you can spend a little more time on engagement. Go in there. If there's an interesting article that an influencer that you follow that's in your niche has put out there, go into the comments, see if you can be of value to the people who are posting in there. Okay, great. So we talked about that. Also, I want to let you know that we've kind of gone through some interesting prompts today, but and this is going to be one of the final things before we hop over to wrapping it up is I can say what custom prompts. Well, I could even actually, if I started a new one, say explore my custom GPTs. Actually, I just want to get a new chat with the Project Fresh brand bot. I can go over here and just say, immediately it's here as a conversation starter. There's a little bit of things. You can even put instructions in here, like, but here these are. I have what sort of tasks can you help me out? Generate a week's worth of content ideas. I could just press that and it'll start to generate a week's worth of content ideas without anything. Just come up with fresh ideas. It knows what I like to post. It knows about my brand. And I mean, I could just do it. Why don't we just do it? And so based on your brand's tone, target audience, and values, here's a calendar for the week. And it's actually fleshed out a little bit of a broader calendar, which is really neat. So it's just come up with a bunch of ideas according to my more thorough posting schedule. And yeah, I mean, here, it doesn't give me the script, but I could say, give me the script, but this is my business. So I could hop on for 5 minutes and definitely show people how to create content, right? Like from scratch. I don't even need to do an outline for that. And so then you can do all these things. So that's pretty neat. What I wanted to show you was actually and again, I'm just doing this so I can show you the conversation starters. What are my prompt repository categories? And so I've uploaded custom prompts as well as business standard prompts into all of this. So if there's particular ones I like to use for content creation, I can create a content creation category here and it knows my prompts. So if I don't have to go do another thing and copy and paste them. In this case, I can say, because we're doing this workshop, I could say, let's look at number 11. All right. And so now what it should do is go in there and say, here are the prompts from the content marketing copyright thing. And so in italics, it's put what you need to change, but you could then very easily, and some of these are more advanced, but these are going to give you really interesting, rich answers. And that's why it's nice to have in a prompt repository, because then a lot of what I was doing today was just rolling off the top of my head. But this is really cool because if I can't always remember how detailed I want my prompts to be, but if there's best practices, here they all are. I'm not going to get into this too much, but this is where you could go through any of these. I've taken hundreds of prompts from all these best practices from all these categories and put it into my brand bot, which is really neat if I want to start to explore some of these things I might not be as familiar with. If you're not as familiar with SEO, you can really learn some best practices. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to stop sharing that and I'm going to get into the wrap-up portion of my presentation, and then we're going to have a little Q&A at the end. Okay, great. So, all right. So I've talked about a few of my courses. I have the AI for coaches and course instructors. The value of this is it helps you validate your idea before you've done the work. So it gets you to your sales page and it gets you to your even lead magnet collecting emails. And guess what? If you don't have the response you want, and I even teach people how to accept payments in this course very easily without even needing a website. Because you can do it with other tools, very low code, no code. And then you can get paid. And guess what? If you don't get a certain amount of payments that justify you doing the work, you can even refund people saying like, hey, I'm putting things on hold, or you cool waiting for another month until it starts, or just refund them or whatever. But it saves a lot of time you doing work for an audience that doesn't exist. So AI for entrepreneurs and thought leaders, helps you create content for your platforms and teaches you a little bit about scheduling and stuff like that. And then my most popular course is the AI for nonfiction writers and content creators, and that teaches you how to get an ebook done in 30 days if you're working kind of slowly. You can do it in a week if you wanted, and be ready to get it onto Amazon. At least the ebook. Print books take a little longer, but I know that whole process really well if anyone's interested. And then what I'm super excited about today, announcing my building one of these AI brand bots. So one of these AI assistants customized to your business. So what does that look like? Well, I've got these 3 modules. We're going to do it basically within 4 modules. The first 3 are going to be learning all about the things I showed today, those custom GPTs, then building your own brand bot that's tailored for your brand, implementing and leveraging your assistant. So how to use it. And then the bonus module, which we're going to like determine as we go, and is going to be probably more about some additional features, some image creation stuff. We might jump out of ChatGPT a little bit for some other cool things. But within 4 modules, you're going to be able to do this. So there's 3 levels that I have, because some people are like, hey, this has been a really fun webinar. I just want you to do it for me. Others want to join and do this live. And so it's going to start on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the following Monday, noon to 1 p.m. We're going to knock this out. We're going to have a lot of fun. We got some great people signed up for it. But if you, and all the videos will be available too if you miss it. And then we're also going to have just the videos if you want to just do that. And so the price points for these are $9.97 for the do it for me, and $3.97 for the cohort, and $197 for just the videos. But of course, this wouldn't be a free webinar without some discounts. And so until tonight at midnight, it's $7.99, 20% off for all these things, $318, and the video course is $158. And again, you get this, you get the full-on brand bot. So if you see what I did, I just saved, I don't know how much time. So especially if you're a small marketing team or solo entrepreneur, how much is your time worth? Is it worth saving a couple of hours? I don't know what you charge hourly, but yeah, like it's a value that even if you use it for one project, you've gained the time back. So if you're interested in this, you can go to projectfresh.com/brandbot, and the actual code is webinar, which I'll email out and also follow up with you after this. And so that is basically my presentation. And now I'm going to open it up to questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And oh, I did stop sharing my screen. So glad to see at least there's still some people on here. I know if I've done a good webinar, if not everyone's bailed. So I would love to give some clarity over things that I discussed today. If you've got immediate questions, if you have to jump, you will get the video later. Thanks for joining, Danielle. And in general, if there's any questions about the course that starts on Monday, I'm happy to answer them. So feel free to popcorn it. Any questions?
That was amazing, just so you know.
Thank you. All right. Well, all right. So Tony, did you have a question?
No, I did just want to say thank you for sharing it all. I think it's still a little bit beyond me. I need to learn more before I would hop into something like that. But
Totally.
it is amazing to see it all. And thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. And that gives me a great idea to mention. And I was going to follow up with this. We covered something pretty specific today. If there was something you would like to learn about, maybe it could just be a one-on-one thing if it's very specific, or if it could be like another group thing. I love doing these webinars. They're like the funnest thing for me. If I could do this kind of stuff more full-time, I would. I actually have to do a lot of digital work, but I'm really happy to put something together. So if there's an idea that you think would be beneficial to you or your company, and we could maybe do it in an afternoon, or it could be a few module course or whatever, I'm super open to it. And in the meantime, if there's no other questions, we can.
Doug?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, hey, babe.
Kurt had a question in the chat, and I actually am intrigued by this question too. Can you base custom GPTs on your previous custom GPTs?
Well, yeah, you just need to copy the instructions.
Great.
So it's really cool. Like you can iterate. So I've done a few brand bot iterations to see which types of instructions work. You can't duplicate for some reason. I don't know why, but you just literally copy it and upload any documents that you might have.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. Freddie, do you have a question? Go ahead.
I do. I just want to thank you, Doug. You have a fabulous mixture of beautiful enthusiasm, great insights, and you're generous. And I think it's just appreciative for there's a tremendous minefield, thousands of people that are attempting to do what you're doing. I get inundated with emails. So there's a group I'm a member of in London that does this all the time. But you have an ease and an understanding that I think is very fresh. And Project Fresh is an appropriate name for your good work. And I look forward to following up with you. I have a very customized voice as an artist that is that I think is going to require some one-on-one time. But I just want to thank you and publicly here for all the good work you're up to.
My pleasure, Freddie. That really, I'm taking that in. Thank you so much. I'm working hard on taking things in better in this new year. I always usually be like, well, no, you're great, Freddie. And people are like, hey, you got to take that in. So thank you. And that is really an interesting opportunity for, that's an interesting opportunity to say that you are in a very interesting place. A lot of authors, a lot of coaches, a lot of people who have a lot of documentation on their voice. There's some really powerful things that we can do to give a digital version of you, that it could be a fun thing that you could offer to your customers. It could be kind of an add-on thing in between your webinars, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, and there's opportunities to not just do with custom GPTs, but actually to do it with more robust platforms so that it could be forward facing. You could embed it on websites. You could be a little bit more tailor that training, be a little bit more maybe protective with your data and things like that. So I think that's a great place to end on. I'm happy again. I'll share all these links in the follow-up. Oh yeah, Desdemona, go for it.
Sorry, I came in a little late to the webinar. I apologize for that. When you make these brand bots, can other people access them too, or is it just something unique to you?
Great question. So there's 3 ways to do it. There's
Okay, turn it on.
only to you. Ed, if you could mute, I'll mute you myself. Okay, so there's only to you, there's anyone with the link, and there's fully on the store, which I didn't even mention. Now, if you build a bot, it wouldn't probably be your brand bot, but if you build like a Canva thing, which you don't need to because Canva built one, but if you build something really popular, the big news, which I can't believe I forgot to mention earlier, is in that ChatGPT store. If it becomes super popular and you make it, everybody can access it, it can go on the store. If you get tons of uses, you can make money from your custom GPT. So that's pretty cool.
I think I'm going to take your class because I need to learn how to make one of these.
That'd be super fun. I would love for you to be on there. We've got a few other folks that are assembled, so it's going to be a fun one.
Thanks.
All right, y'all. Well, it's 12:58, so I'm letting you go a minute early. Or a couple minutes early. Have a great rest of your day. Awesome weekend. Look out for my follow-ups, and I appreciate y'all.
Hey, Doug, where do we find the link to the video of the meeting?
I'll send out a follow-up with the link to the video.
Okay. Where did we get last week's? Because I wanted to check on something last week and I couldn't find it.
I'll make sure to include those in the email too.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, you bet.
You rock. That was a great session.
Hey, thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks.